Hey everyone, it is tea time with the diva. Grab your tea, grab your coffee, because we're going to get into it. This tea time is dedicated to Cuba Gooding Jr. You know, sometimes when you are in the heat of the moment, in the midst of a little bit of trouble, if you have a lawyer, your lawyer will 9.9 times out of 10 tell you to keep your mouth shut. Don't say nothing. I believe when you get arrested and they read you your rights, they tell you anything you say or do can and will be used against you. So Cuba Gooding Jr. was named in the Little Rodney lawsuit that Little Rod has against Diddy. Little Rodney claimed that at a party, Cuba Gooding Jr. sat next to him and was groping, touching, filling him up, and doing all kinds of things to him. Now, Cuba Gooding Jr., this is not unusual to hear something like that about him because he has found himself in a lot of hot water previously with women and feeling like he could touch them just because he felt like it. So when you hear that perhaps Cuba Gooding Jr. did something like that, it doesn't shock you. You're not like, oh my God, no, he couldn't do that, right? But either way, we don't know the truth until we know the truth. And sometimes, even when someone's found guilty or whatever, you still don't quite know the truth. You just know they was found guilty. So Cuba is on the podcast and he's saying, I don't really know Diddy like that. I met Diddy in like 2019 or something like that. And he said that night was New Year's Eve and I was just party hopping. And then one of the parties I happened to find myself in that night was on Diddy's yacht. And I was invited to hear a Diddy song. I sat next to Little Rodney, heard the song, was hugged him up, dapped him up, and then I went on my way. He said Little Rodney's a liar looking for money. But see, the internet is relentless. And they got a whole bunch of detectives. And some of the internet detectives, child, they better than the detective you will pay money to. Because Little Rodney said in his podcast, he met Diddy around 2019 or something like that. But then the people done dug up a picture where he has a picture and he's in it with Diddy from 2003. Cuba, what you talking about? Now listen, guys, we're going to get more into this Cuba Gooding Jr. story right after this. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and share screen. So Cuba Gooding Jr., Ronnie Jones is just after money. He said, I barely know Diddy. Now, I mean, it could be true, it could not be true, but I don't see how you get into a party of somebody you barely know. But hey, listen, that's me. Now, I can't play a whole bunch of this podcast, but I will put the link in the description of this video so you could go listen to the whole thing if you want. But let's hear 30 seconds and let's hear Cuba talk.
What do you think is going on with all the stuff with Diddy, with Lil Rod, with, all the stories that everybody's hearing about?
You mean in terms of what?
I mean, being raiding his house being raided.
I mean, that's crazy. That's the craziest thing I'd ever. And then, hey, how about me? I wake up in the morning, I turn on the station showing actor Cuba Gooding Jr. I was like, excuse me, pull me into this. I think whatever he's dealing with he's on his journey, man.
Diddy's on his journey. Anyway, Cuba. So Cuba Gooding Jr. is firing back at allegations made in Rodney Jones' lawsuit against Diddy, and he's also distancing himself from the drama at large. The actor sat down for a segment on the PBD podcast with Patrick David Beck, and the topic of Diddy came up, beginning with Cuba's reaction to the shocking raid on his house. And that's the picture which Cuba Gooding Jr. and Rodney Jones submitted in his lawsuit against Diddy. And Cuba shows the David on his phone footage and saying that, listen, the angle in which this was taken, it looks suspicious. He said it's a live video in his phone of it. He showed it to David, this guy that I'm saying David, but his name is Patrick David Beck. He showed it to him. He didn't show it to the audience, but he's claiming that video shows that the picture is not as salacious or suspicious looking as it's being made out to be. I'll see if I can play a little bit more of this video.
I think that God has got him on a path where I can't imagine that he's stupid enough to do whatever he's doing and keep it on his premises. I think that the raid and all of that stuff, only time will tell who was involved, who had been a frequent guest in these places and areas. I had never met him till probably 2019-20, just casually.
He said he never met him until 2019, 2020. That's out of Cuba Gooding Jr.'s mouth. Okay. So Cuba says the whole scene blew him away. He found it all the more shocking when news channels mentioned his name the next day. Y'all remember Rodney Jones, Diddy's former producer, named Cuba Gooding Jr. in his lawsuit against the mogul, claiming Diddy introduced them on his yacht and Cuba allegedly started touching, groping, and fondling Jones. Okay, that's Diddy. Rodney also provided a photo allegedly showing the encounter where Cuba appears to have his arm wrapped around the producer's shoulder. But if you go back to this, for someone to be violating you, and listen, I'm not downplaying anything. Any victim should be heard. Not only heard, they should get justice, right? But this man is fondling you, violating you, and he seems to be smiling in this picture, and not feeling like disturbed or like he's being violated. Okay, they said pictures say 1,000 words. Maybe right, maybe wrong. Maybe Cuba Gooding Jr. was violating him. I don't know. Let's hear another 30 seconds.
Claudine and he invited us his house. The pandemic was starting to ease, and hadn't seen him since that night where this guy with this picture that says that I had my shoulder on him and all this stuff, making it look sordid. Well, that picture, everyone in the room, there's probably 300 of us on the deck of P. Diddy's, I'm going to show you, on P. Diddy's boat, New Year's Eve.
So you're saying there was 300 people in the room, but listen, when Cuba Gooding Jr. was accused of fondling a woman, it was in a club with a whole bunch of people there. So we don't know what we don't know, but I'll continue. Let me see. Rodney also provided a picture allegedly showing an encounter where Cuba appears to have his arm wrapped around the producer's shoulder. Well, Cuba sharing his version of events, saying the encounter occurred on New Year's Eve while he jumped from yacht party to yacht party. And when he got to Diddy's, he says he was invited to listen to a P. Diddy song. The contradiction with Cuba Gooding Jr. in this situation and him knowing Diddy is, I don't know how these parties work in the celebrity world. And I don't know if just because you are a celebrity and there's yachts and there's so many parties going on that you could just conveniently hop on each one and not be invited. I don't know. It just seems a little bit weird because you're saying that you barely know the man, but yet you're getting these invitations to his events and you're freely welcomed in his events. And not only are you freely welcome, but the first thing you do, you get on a yacht and they invite you, who is not that close to Diddy to listen to his latest song that is out. But okay. Cuba even shows a picture to David Bett, claiming it proves nothing sordid happened, but the pic's not shown to the audience, so it's hard to say what he actually is pointing out. Gooding Jr. says he left after the song, tossing an arm around Rodney, saying something and then walking out, and says the whole reason Rodney's making claims about him is because he's going after big money from Diddy. Cuba, as he and Diddy are more acquaintances than friends. Now, remember he said he met him in 2019. I don't know, is this just a random pic? But here they found a pic from 2003, and it just happens to be Cuba Gooding Jr. and there's Diddy, right? So I don't know. Cuba is sidestepping and talking out the side of his neck, but we'll never know until we know. So let's play another 30 seconds.
I went from one ship, Happy New Year. So I hung out with Tyson, and next ship, there's Drake. This ship had P. Diddy. He had his guy, his videographer. They're listening to music. And he says, hey, Cube, listen, you want to hear P. Diddy's new song? I said, yeah, sure. Sit down next to him. They didn't use this angle, which to me makes me laugh, because I go, oh, I get it. You made it look the way you wanted it to look. But that, and if you hold it, you know how you hold it and it does.
So yeah, I mean, listen, a picture, right? So let me see. Worth noting, Cuba says he never met Diddy until 2019 or 2020, though a photo of the pair next to each other in 2003 also been dug up in recent weeks. Unclear if Cuba just forgot the meeting or the photo just happened to capture the both of them. In any case, looks like Cuba's trying to take a big step back from all of this, downplaying his affiliation big time. Well, many people are at this point in the game, right? Downplaying if they know Diddy, been around Diddy, hung around Diddy, saw anything when they were hanging out with Diddy. It's a big hot mess. Okay, let's see if we can now listen to the last 30 seconds.
That's the thing where, can you hear all the people? If you tap it or something, it's a live picture. Do you see what I mean? It's like, here we are just listening to music. Finished, took the thing off, said whatever I said to him, left. That was it. But this guy who's suing him, going after the money, man. I'm sure. And by the way, I don't know P. Diddy's life. I don't know what he's going through. I don't know what the police are going to find on all of that.
Were you guys close? Were you guys friends, or?
We were acquaintances, just like I just showed you. Yeah. 2-3 times I've seen him.
2-3 times he's seen him. Listen, guys, I get he's probably trying to somehow clear his name. We don't know what they found in Diddy's homes. No word has been said yet, but Cuba Gooding Jr. is 10 toes down that he's just an acquaintance of Diddy. He did nothing to Lil Rodney, and he doesn't know what Diddy does in his life. Listen, guys, chat with me in the comments, and when I get an opportunity, I will chat back. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you will be notified. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. Everybody, thanks for watching. Listen, guys, see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.